Hi everyone, welcome to Foresight's Biotech and Health Extension Strategy Group, sponsored by 100 Plus Capital. I'm super excited to have Dylan Livingston here with me today, and I'm hoping that many of you are excited to get your feet wet a little bit because this is going to be quite an interactive session. We're going to have part of it on the record, part of it off the record, and Dylan in the first part is going to propose to you an alliance for longevity initiatives. And then in the second part, we're hoping that we'll actually get to tackle a few of the questions that he would love your input on. I already shared with you a few Google Docs. One of them is the presentation that he'll be giving. And then the second one is the questions that we're hoping that we can address in the white paper that he's currently cooking up. So I'm super excited to have you here. This may just be a conversation starter. There's a lot of questions and many of them may require quite extensive answers, but I'm hoping that you can already open up the Google Doc and at least start answering a few of them. All right, Dylan, without further ado, the stage is yours and I'll be in the chat in case there's any questions. All right.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Allison. Hi, everyone. I'm very excited to have the chance to speak in front of all of you. I see a lot of names of people I've already reached out to, so this is great. I'm definitely thankful for your time and energy. I'm going to try to run through my slides here as fast as I can because I shared them with you yesterday and I want to open up the discussion. I'm here to present you with an idea, an opportunity to create social and political action around the longevity movement. Hold on, let me share my screen here. Here we go. All right, can everybody see what I have right here? Cool. So the Alliance for Longevity Initiatives, the goal here, I think we can all agree that the scientific and investor portions of the longevity community are pretty developed at this point, and the political advocacy side definitely needs some work. So, ultimately this organization, the Alliance for Longevity Initiatives, I know it's at ALARMA before, there's been a ton of iterations in my head, but I settled on the Alliance for Longevity Initiatives, and it looks to be the first political organization advocating for the longevity community. Before I get started, I just want to, tell everybody who I am, how I got here, and ways I can be an asset to the community. I've been aware that aging is a condition that can be treated through medical intervention since I was a young child. My father runs his own investment bank, where he's been an early investor and advocate for futuristic, innovative, and disruptive technologies. And Aubrey and his work at SENS, that was something we would discuss on the ride to school. So I'm I'm well versed and I'm very comfortable with the ideas that are being presented. But as is the case with most children, aging wasn't something I really focused on. It was more of a problem for future Dylan. So I focused on other things. I went to college, I majored in physics, I played baseball, and I ended up becoming a politico. Not things that scream longevity advocate, but COVID struck and it made me realize that the number one comorbidity, not for just COVID, but for every disease is your age. And, when the pandemic hits, when I'm 70, 80, 90, I don't want to be in the same situation as the people who are 70, 80, 90 today. I was living with my 94-year-old grandfather at the time, and the realities of aging became quite apparent. And so I became interested in the longevity field again. Oh, no, background, sorry, whoops. So my skills, value to the longevity community, like I said, I'm a politico that lie in my political experience over the last 3 years. I've worked for various Democratic organizations, the DNC. I worked for a consulting firm that did work for the Black Lives Matter movement. And most recently, I was a regional field organizer for the Biden campaign in Cumberland and Franklin County. We did a great job over there. I created a really strong network in the process. So I'm looking to leverage that network I created. My goals here are probably very similar to all of yours. There's the humanitarian side of it. I want to help as many people as possible. But in a more personal effect, I want to be part of something transcendent and historic. So I can't think of anything more transcendent than this effort right here. So after I worked for the Biden campaign, I kind of realized that, I was trying to look for my next opportunity. I did some general research and I realized that the longevity community had no 501c4s that explicitly advocate for policy change and no PACs and no political spending. This is a gap in the industry that needs to be filled. And so I figured, why not me? And so I formed a 501c4 with the goal of pursuing, political action in government. And this isn't at all a new idea, really. Here's Aubrey speaking about, you know, it's time for political understanding, the third wave. I agree with you. This was back in 2019 at the Foresight Institute. So, you know, I'm not really reinventing the wheel here. So I just want to go over briefly, you know, why a 501c4. You know, this isn't too pertinent, but I just want to go through. Here, I want to point your attention to these last three points here. Political contributions are allowed. We don't need to disclose the identity, and contributions can be written off as business expenses. So, you know, this is a very good vehicle to do what I want to do. And people have asked me why is C4 over C3 or C4 over C6. C3s are not allowed to be political, so obviously that's out. And C6s are meant to promote business interests. And, you know, I think that the NRA is one of the most, you know, they act as if they're a business interest organization. And, you know, while they're not officially set up that way, they provide that value. So, you know, indirectly, you know, I think this will be helpful for business interests. But a 501c4 is the advocacy nonprofit, and I want to advocate for smart science, policy, and messaging. Just to give you a little idea of, you know, what I'm shooting for here, you know, these are the top 10 spenders in the last election. You know, I shoot for the stars. That's where I want to be in the next election. And, you know, I want the longevity communities, you know, initiatives and interests to be at the top of this list. So I started a 501c4. I told you that. My goal is to bring together some of the industry leading scientists, investors, and advocates to help provide the vision and the capital to get this advocacy operation started. Ultimately, I've come up with three specific actions to create change. The first is going on a general advocacy campaign to persuade policy makers to support, you know, longevity initiatives. The second is to conduct and run polls and focus groups to get a better idea of how the public is responding to, you know, the initiatives we're putting forward. And the third one is to create a centralized database with profiles for each politician to help fast track advocacy efforts in the future. And then ultimately, more importantly, in the future, you know, we'll be able to use the profiles to give each politician a score similar to how the NRA or the environmental groups do, to try to make them align with our interests a little more. Persuasion, the persuasion part of it. So, you know, we need to build strategic relationships, strategic being the, you know, important word there. You know, we need to, I've already reached out to a few tech-friendly, scientific, innovation-friendly representatives. But, you know, those who are not necessarily, you know, interested in longevity, but are friendly to advanced tech, we want to, you know, set up meetings with them, you know, in order to persuade them to get on our side. So, you know, and the point is, you know, we want to match the right people up. So if there's a fiscally conservative representative, we probably wouldn't want to bring someone to, you know, talk to them who is going to go more towards the emotional side and you know, maybe we bring someone who talks more about the longevity dividend and the money saving side of it. So that's what I mean by strategic. But then once we set up these relationships, we can start actually advocating for things. We can advocate for more favorable regulations around medicine. We can lobby for longevity-focused caucus in Congress to get people and politicians talking about the issues. But ultimately, the most important thing is to push forward some sort of longevity initiatives bill, a larger standalone bill that we can reference back and kind of be like, that was the start of it. You know, in a similar fashion, that's how the you know, I'm looking to model it in the way of the 21st Century Nanotech R&D Act from 2003, or more recently, the Quantum Initiatives Act. And then a large part of this also will be increasing money for political contributions and lobbying. You know, there's strength in numbers. Obviously, more than just a bank account, you know, having a large membership shows strength in numbers, which will further amplify our political influence. So, you know, the goal is to continue to increase. I'm not gonna, I put this down, and if you guys, if everybody wants to go back and look, that'd be great, but I'm not gonna spend too much time explaining each one. But here are some potential initiatives that we can, you know, champion as a group. The first one was an Andrew Yang inspired initiative. Basically, it's using life expectancy and quality of life as more important measures of economic success. There's already, Andrew Yang is already a very prominent political figure. And so, we know there's some audience for this initiative. Creating HARPA, the creation and appropriate funding of HARPA is also another thing that is so it's a bipartisan issue that I think wouldn't take too much lobbying to get off the ground. But I know people in the community are already interested in HARPA, and I think it would be the creation of HARPA would be very beneficial from bringing longevity therapeutics from the clinic to the public. So we definitely should try to champion that. A geroscience office. I've heard from a billion people that the NIA might as well be called the National Institute on Alzheimer's because that's where all their money goes. So clearly there needs to either be some restructuring or a new office established, that focuses on the biology of aging. Another thing I've heard from a bunch of people is that the NIH is not too great with their grants. The wait time is a little egregious, and the money and the grants that result from the wait time are not that worth it. So general restructuring of the NIH, and we'll lobby to improve efficiency there. And then a longevity initiative bill. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this looks like yet, really. But these are just some ideas that I had. And if you have any suggestions on what a longevity initiative bill would look like, please reach out to me, because I'm always trying to add things to this list here. Conducting polls, focus groups for longevity initiatives. So, there are not many polls, there's not much knowledge on longevity issues. We don't know how the general public feels very much because of the fact that there's not many polls out. The last two were a Pew Research poll and a YouGov poll. And quite frankly, these two polls are useless. They're pre-COVID. They're too far apart. And quite frankly, I'll put up these three here. The Pew Research poll asked nice questions, but this YouGov poll, for the more recent one, didn't really ask any questions that will help us. So, I'm not saying we have polls about longevity every month, but, a more consistent cycle of polls about the issues that we want to know about would be very helpful. And I've talked to a few other people about this, and I think there's some agreement there. But consistent polling will also tell us about demographics and politicians for us to target. If for some reason we find that there is the community X doesn't like the initiatives we put forward, it probably wouldn't make much sense to pursue a politician who represents a large constituency of X community, right? So this will help us pick and choose our targets a little better. And then running focus groups is just another helpful way to understand demographic attitudes better and better position messages. And the idea here is the results of the focus group will be available to an executive membership, a kind of like a pay to play kind of deal where it's a way to raise some money for data and information. The final avenue is the politicians database. The whole point here is to kind of streamline lobbying efforts, and like I said before, give each politician a rating similar to how other interest groups do so, to try to make them. I'm sorry, I didn't even put anything down here. So yeah, similar to how the NRA does it, a public score that puts pressure on the members of Congress to align with our goals. And then in private, we'll compile a lot of information per politician, so that when company X wants to lobby something, it's not an issue. The private politician profile will include, but not limited to, top aide / contact point in their office. Who do we need to be on good terms with to ensure a meeting? Voting records on longevity health health initiatives while in office. This can be, kind of the score that we give out, publicly. An expected longevity support by constituency score. So, by this I mean, if we find if we find that liberal and more diverse cities are, more receptive to what we're doing, a politician from that, area will be, have a higher score here and will be higher on the list to target. Past interactions with our organization and partner organizations, just so you know, if there's obviously a politician who we shouldn't waste our time with, you know, you'll have an idea. And then PAC, interest group backing, you know, to see if there's any conflicts of interest or anything like that. But yeah, like I said, though, it's not limited to this. But the idea is to compile as much information we can as about each politician, and then, you know, use it as a way to streamline what we're trying to do. Why the time is right now. So one book that has you know, changed my life, I think probably for many of you too, is The Singularity is Near. You know, Ray Kurzweil talks about timing of your inventions. And so, you know, it's important that I let you know why the time is right now. Geroscience therapeutics are coming out in 2020. You know, so let's get out in the 2020s. I think a lot of you would agree with that. You know, I think that's not an outrageous thing to say. So, you know, let's get out in front of the issues before they become more of issues. COVID, not just for me, but I think it was a wake-up call to billions of people about their day-to-day health. You know, things are getting better, and I'm very happy about that, but let's move now to make sure that people are still aware of their day-to-day health and, you know, the importance of it. Let's not let the scare of COVID fade away. You know, let's try to make the world a better place from this. Eric Lander is the head of PCAST. I know he's not an out-and-out longevity ally, but he could be you know, a strong ally. I know people in the community have ties to him. New York City Finance Longevity Initiative. This is just you know, kind of a pipeline dream here, but you know, if we get a seat at the table with Yang for New York City, that would be very interesting, considering the fact that he proposed those age-related economic measures, considering the fact that he's more of a futurist type politician, and that, along with the fact with you know, I don't really, you know, it doesn't matter how you feel about AOC. She won a prize in high school for life extension in C. elegans or worms. I forget exactly what it was, but you know, there is she is a longevity supporter. She just doesn't fully know it yet. And same with Yang. And, you know, I think it could be a very interesting proposition to have longevity initiatives financed through New York City money. Democrats may only be in power for another 18 months. I want to use my network. You know, historically, the midterm election after a president is elected is a bloodbath for that party. And quite frankly, it's 50-50 and very close in the House. And you know, I want to make sure my network can get as much use as it can. And then finally, Aubrey said so over a year ago. Here he is saying so over a year ago. If it's good enough for Aubrey, it's good enough for me. How will so this is the second to last slide. I just want to, you know, let you guys know how the 501c4 will make money. I'm looking for this to be self-sustainable. There will be a founding member's contribution. They'll serve as the board and make decisions for the alliance. You know, I have about 10 to 15 people right now who are, you know, in my mind to be board members, but the political organizer in me tells me to get 50 more because people flake, and not flake, but people go in and out and, you know, can't do it at this time and that. So, you know, if anybody on this call is interested in serving and, you know, as a board member, please reach out, because that would be awesome. But the biggest part of how we're gonna, you know, make money is memberships. And like I said before, the executive membership will be the people, you know, will be the level where you have access to the private info that we collect. The idea here is that, you know, heads of longevity focused companies and advanced biotech companies in general will be, you know, the executive member. They'll be listed as directors on our Form 990 and on the website, and we'll have some say in the actions that the Alliance takes. Standard membership is just, you know, for the individual. There will be perks associated with it, like reduced price for conference tickets, you know, merchandise, network opportunities, things like that. And then there's the Friend of Longevity membership, kind of like the B, Plan B for the standard membership. But I see the Friend of Longevity membership level as a way to bring people into the community a little more. So that's why that's there. Sponsorships are also going to be a very important part of what we're trying to do. Pharma companies that are aligning with our mission will be good sources of sponsorships. Other large health-focused nonprofits too. Yeah. And then there are other ways to make money: advertising, fundraisers, conferences, etc. But I didn't really go into detail there because this will be a membership funded organization. And then finally, the next steps. I just want to give you a little update on where I am and what the next steps are for me. I'm looking to officially establish my board by the end of this month, hire other positions, and create a website as soon as possible to send, to really kind of centralize like the message and, have something to send to politicians when they ask. So hopefully that'll be done by the end of this month. I would like to give a sizable contribution to the Yang for mayor campaign before the June primary is really, really key. Primaries in large cities generally are the deciding factor in who will be the mayor. Yang is winning in the polls, but in elections where there's not a ton of polling and a lot of different candidates, you never know. And so I want to make sure he has the money to win and give money before his get out the vote effort so we can secure a seat at the table. I want to run a focus group. I want to have a focus group done and polling done by September. I've reached out to a few polling firms already, and it seems to be reasonably priced to run a poll. And so I would like to have that done by the end of the summer. The database is underway. I've started, but I'm going to need some sort of staff or something like that to make this go faster. This is a big project, but I really think it's something that needs to be done and will help the community a lot. The first lobbying actions will be decided by the board. However, I have reached out to the politicos, the political offices in my network, the people, the politicians I have closest ties to, and there's more than openness to have conversations about this, about the issues around longevity and aging and all that. So I've been very reserved on saying too much or reaching out too much because I don't. I want to have the organization established before getting on with that, but there's definitely interest. And then finally, help me help you. Look, we're all on the same team here. We all want the same thing. And there's a lot of minds to change too. And so, my work will be most effective, with the support of not only this group, but the larger longevity community, the larger health initiative focused people. It's not just this group. It's going to take a community. So help me, help you, help the world, because I think that's everybody's goal here, to help the world and kind of move humanity forward.